when the world is in crisis
การแก้ไขปัญหาโควิดถือเป็นวาระแห่งชาติ
and people are looking for hope and answers. Thai PBS World is there with you with the best minds of the day. Join us on Thai PBS World tonight, every weekdays at 7 p.m. Thai PBS World, we bring Thailand to the world.
สวัสดีค่ะ Very good evening and welcome to our 7 o'clock news Thai PBS World tonight. I am Natha Gomonwadin.
And good evening, I'm Thep Chayong. As the news about the coronavirus pandemic is gradually dying down, it's quite clear that politics is taking up more and more space in the Thai media, especially after Deputy Prime Minister Kun Prawit has agreed to take the helm of Palang Pracharath Party, the core component of the Prayut coalition.
Yes, and good news is 29 consecutive days already, Kun Thep Chai, that we do not have local transmission among Thai people. And today, the new cases of infection of COVID-19 is 5. And another good news is about long holidays.
Yeah.
The cabinet has approved 2 extra holidays on the 4th to 7th of July. So it means people would have 4 days of holiday over the weekend next
and
month.
This will go down quite well with the government's plan to encourage people to travel domestically in the aftermath of the coronavirus.
Yes, so that's good news in terms of COVID-19.
That's right.
And more exciting news about the move by Prime Minister Prayut that's still not clear, Kun Thep Chai, on the emergency decree. Today he has press briefing after a cabinet meeting and he said that it's still on consideration whether to extend emergency decree.
He said he is weighing the pros and cons of extending the state of emergency. No, but Kunatha, judging from his remarks today, it looks like he is leaning toward retaining the decree. And he said that it's very likely that the decree is still being needed in order to make the fight against the pandemic as effectively as it has been. He said he sympathizes with people impacted by the lockdown measures, but insisted that the state of emergency is still a necessary legal tool to ensure effectiveness in the fight against the pandemic.
Yes.
Do you think we would have come this far without the state of emergency? The Prime Minister asked reporters when he was questioned on this issue.
Yes, he insists that it's not political game, but it's still very crucial for Thailand to maintain emergency decree at the moment because the government would like to make sure in controlling COVID-19 situation. And if they lift up the emergency decree, it may be relaxing. People may be relaxing too soon.
No, but the opposition politicians today continue to step up their pressure on the Prime Minister to end the state of emergency, which they claim is being used to stifle freedom of expression and freedom of assembly. As we all remember, weeks before the country was hit by the pandemic, Thailand saw a series of campus activities, students' rallies, demanding the Prime Minister Prayut to resign. But after the pandemic was hit the country and the state of emergency was introduced, all those activities just died out.
Yes, but it seems that he would like to maintain emergency decree to control nightlife entertainment venue as well, because as of now the government haven't concluded whether to allow the nightlife venue to open in the 5th phase of easing restriction. And he said, in a way, sorry that 100% of nightlife entertainment cannot be returned to normal and it's still in consideration. That's the same with tourism as well.
Okay. But the health authorities insisted that all these nighttime entertainment places will be allowed to reopen starting most likely the first week of July. But of course, they need to impose strict health screening measures and a lot of measures dealing with social distancing. Some of the measures certainly do not go down well with operators of entertainment places who believe that they are not practical and they would drive away their potential customers.
Yes. And another major issue today concluded during the cabinet meeting is approval of extra public holidays for Asanha Busha Day and Buddhist Lent Day, making a weekend from 4th to 7th of July. As Saturday, July the 4th is Asanha Busha Day and July the 5th mark Buddhist Lent Day. The cabinet approved the two extra holidays, mark these two important days. But they said 3 days of Songkran holiday still not being used, so it means that people can still wait for 3 more holidays.
That's
for
right.
Songkran holidays.
That's 3 holidays that
Yeah.
the government still owes the people.
Yes.
They canceled these 3 holidays at the height of the pandemic in April, promising that they will be substituted sooner or later.
Yes.
A lot of people expected these substitute holidays to take place this month, but it doesn't look likely now. But anyway, you have an extra holidays for this Buddhist Lent period in 2 weeks' time. So that should make up for the loss of holidays, at least for the time being anyway.
Yes, so people can look forward to long holiday weekend, first weekend of July. And today, Palang Pracharath finally has new leader, Kun Thepchai.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because as we know that Palang Pracharath Party has always been seen as a de facto product of the military coup in 2014. And now it's only a step away from being given an official stamp for that. Deputy Prime Minister Prawit Wongsuwan, a key player in the military takeover today, confirmed that he will take over the reign of the party. He still kept saying that this hasn't happened yet, but it's quite clear to everyone that he has already agreed to be the next leader of the party. And in an interview with journalists today, he did not directly commit himself to taking the reign of the party. He kept saying that, well, this hasn't happened yet, this hasn't happened yet. But of course, he could not deny the fact that he agreed to take the party leadership during a meeting with party members yesterday.
Yeah. Before, he tended to say that I don't know, but finally it's been confirmed that he's the new leader of Palang Pracharath Party, and it was formal invitation which happened last night.
Yeah, since the picture tells 1,000 words, and this is one of the pictures that still do tell 1,000 words. And Kun Prawit squeezed in the middle by key members of Palang Pracharath Party who flocked to meet him at the headquarters of a forestry foundation which Kun Prawit heads. And quite interestingly, because the office of this foundation is located in an army unit, so critics of the government are making a lot of fuss about this, that is it appropriate or not, to use an army office to talk about politics in this manner. But of course, the Palang Pracharath Party people brush this observation aside, saying that, well, it doesn't matter because they did not use that place to discuss politics, but only to visit General Prawit, who is the chairman of that forestry foundation.
Yes. To accept leadership of Kun Prawit Wongsuwan means Kun Uttama Sawnayon, the current leader, would have to become former leader of Palang Pracharath Party, and he would be replaced by General Prawit Wongsuwan. And Uttama has automatically lost his status as the party leader following the resignation of majority members of the party's executive board earlier this month.
Yeah. And what will be the mission of the new party leader, General Prawit? To end its internal bickering. At least that is what expected of him, as factions in the party are jostling for cabinet seats in an expected cabinet reshuffle. And there was no surprise that General Prawit yesterday said yes immediately to the invitation from the party members to take its reign. An election to elect the party's new leadership is scheduled for this Saturday and is expected to endorse Kun Prawit as the new leader. They must be reconciled, General Prawit said when asked by reporters today on the ongoing conflicts in the party. It's still unclear, Kunatha, as to how long General Prawit will be the party leader, because there has been speculation that his leadership would be interim and lasting probably only 6 months in order for him to settle disputes within the party.
But probably it could last for 1 year for General Prawit to take this post as leader of Palang Pracharath party, because he has to handle internal conflicts between different factions within Palang Pracharath party, and also he has to hold on to ruling coalition parties which have 20 parties. That's quite a big task.
Yeah, but there's one big question I'm sure that is in the mind of many people. Why General Prawit? Why? What does he have that others in the Palang Pracharath party don't? First of all, don't forget the fact that Palang Pracharath party was a creation of Dmitry Krieg, who took power in the coup back in 2014. And the party is a patchwork of small political factions brought together to serve as its political vehicle. And it was General Prawit who played a crucial role in making it happen. And when the 75-year-old ex-general was appointed chief strategist of the party in August last year, he was not being given just a ceremonial post. He was in fact bestowed with authority, short of being its leader. The Deputy Prime Minister is known for his extensive political connections and the trust he has from Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha. Therefore, despite his frail health, General Prawit is being seen as the only person who can put Palang Pracharath House in order amid the internal bickering over cabinet positions. And Kunatha, the next question is, how much does Prime Minister Prayut know about the whole game plan?
Yeah.
The Prime Minister has repeatedly denied knowing anything about what has been going on within the party. Of course, there are good reasons why he wants to distance himself from party politics. He has no spiritual liking for politicians, but he needs them for his political survival. So having General Prawit in charge of Palang Pracharath is the next best thing to running the party himself. And now Prime Minister Prayut will have direct line to the party with General Prawit in charge. And there's no way, therefore, that General Prawit would agree to take the helm of the party without General Prayut's blessing. Because the two have been comrades in arms through thick and thin, even before the coup in 2014. General Prawit, who had served as Army Chief and Defense Minister under Abhisit government, has been known as a very powerful military figure and a mentor of Prime Minister Prayut. The respect he commands among the military men and politicians was often in full display on his birthdays, as the pictures we just seen just a minute ago, when hundreds of them would flock to his residence to pay tributes.
Yeah, that's very good occasion to see how someone in Thailand have lots of power and authority of Barami in Thailand, especially during the birthday celebrations when like junior members have visited him and wished him happy birthday wishes. And at one point, General Prawit was compared with General Premtin Sulanon, former private councillor and statesman. But General Prawit never wanted to be compared with General Prem. He tended to say that throughout 10 years before NCPO and elected government of Palang Pracharath party, the two brothers have been behind the success of this formulation of having Palang Pracharath as the ruling party.
That's right. And of course, it remains to be seen whether the clout he had in getting things done from behind the scenes will still be effective for him as a full-fledged politician.
And the three brothers must be united more than before, Kun Thepchai.
Yeah.
General Prayut, General Prawit, and General Anupong Phao Jinda. They have been named as three 4 or 3 brothers, and they have been comrades in arms for quite a long while.
That's right. And now with General Prawit in charge of the biggest coalition party, it's certain that General Prayut, the Prime Minister, will have a direct link to the party himself. So that means Prawit and Prayut will work together to really run the party.
So it would be improbable to say that General Prayut won't know anything inside the party. That would be impossible to say so.
No, but yesterday, when he was asked whether or not he would agree to General Prawit taking the helm of the party, he only said that General Prawit might have to do it that out of necessity, but he didn't say what he meant by necessity.
Yes. So we have to see for how long he will take this position as leader of Palang Pracharath party. And the next Herculean task is about cabinet reshuffle.
That's right.
In July.
And of course, running a political party in Thailand is no easy task. You have to compromise, you have to meet a lot of resistance, a lot of factional fighting within the party, and the job of the party leader is very challenging indeed, and especially for General Prawit, whose health, as we know, is not that good. So certainly it will be a very huge task awaiting him.
Okay, so we will keep you updated with what will be coming out from Palang Pracharath party and General Prawit Wongsuwan. And Kun Thepchai, the beginning of this week, Chinatown in Thailand, or Yawarat, has been reopened again, but probably it's still quite early for the reopening, so the market wasn't that crowded. Kun Kitipat Chun Sukjit has this story.
Yawarat Road, better known as Bangkok's Chinatown, is crowded once again now that the anti-COVID-19 night curfew in Thailand has been lifted. This is one of the oldest Chinese communities outside China, which became a famous trading center in Thailand. The shape of the road is said to resemble the curve of dragon's body. Yawarat has always been a tourist attraction, high on any traveler's list of where to go in Bangkok. The highlight of the street for both Thais and foreigners is undoubtedly the authentic street food scene, which opens for business from late afternoon until after midnight.
And right now it's 11 p.m. and I haven't been walking along the Yawarat Street or Chinatown in this time during the curfew. And absolutely right now, I'm very happy and everyone here is very happy in the new normal Yawarat.
Smiles are back on the faces of some vendors and customers, but the situation is still not fully back to normal due to the lack of tourists. The street, usually brightly lit until 1 or 2 a.m., is now almost empty by 11:30 p.m. Many vendors on Yawarat have been hit hard economically by the lockdown. Some of them survive, however, by selling their food through online delivery platforms.
ช่วงเคอร์ฟิวเราขายออนไลน์ค่ะเราใช้ช่องทางออนไลน์ Delivery
Pakamon Yam Jaren, the owner of Yanwo Haoji, a Chinese dessert shop, said that during the curfew, she sold online and that she is lucky that she has been serving customers for 40 years, so they know her shop and continued to buy online during the lockdown. She added that we should realize that economic problems are being suffered around the world. We have to admit that we are so lucky that Thailand, while not yet back to normal, is not that bad. While vendors have been deeply affected by COVID-19, some have never tried doing business online.
ไม่เอาเพราะว่าเขา 30% เราก็ไม่เอาบางทีอย่างออนไลน์เราก็ทำไม่เป็นแล้วพวกแอปอะไรพวกนี้เขาก็หัก 30% เราก็ไม่เอากับพวกปลา100เหลือ 70 มาลีก็ไม่เอา
Mali Zetang, the owner of the J Mali food shop, said she had no intention of selling her food online during the curfew because she has to give 15 to 30% of her income to the online portal. and that's too much. She opens her shop in the early morning, so she has more time to earn income. All vendors and customers are encouraged to wear face masks, except when they are eating or drinking, and to use hand sanitizer frequently. Many street food vendors are now setting up their stalls while maintaining social distancing by adding space between tables to prevent the spread of the pathogens. And this is the sign of the new normal on Yaowarat.
It looked very crowded to me, even though without much Chinese tourists at this juncture of reopening and during COVID-19, and very mouth-watering, Kun Thepchai.
That's right.
And the tension between South Korea and North Korea seems rising again, especially since last week that the North Korea ordered to destroy liaison office between the two Koreas. And what happened at the latest right now, we have Kun Nat Bunak joining us.
It looks like they are now having a new battleground.
Definitely a new battleground for North Korea and South Korea, because the defectors have already sent a new set of leaflets to be sent to the borders, which has been sent already last night, which is around midnight, I guess. And they actually chose a location which is the darkest so that the police cannot detect what they're actually doing. So it's pretty intense here, because the defector group has sent a package of leaflets through a giant balloon. And besides the leaflets, there's also a poster with pictures of Kim Jong-un and Kim Yo-jong as well, including anti-government messages on that poster as well. So the group said that they have sent 20 balloons last night, which carries 500,000 leaflets, $1 bills, as well as SD cards, probably containing South Korean news and series at the inter-Korean border area called Paju. So we can say that it's the latest movement from the group after North Korea blew up the inter-Korean liaison office last week.
It's a continuation of what they have been doing over the years anyway. But this time, the North Koreans are not going to take things sitting down.
Definitely, because we can see that things are heating up as time go by. So basically, but despite the tensions here, South Korea doesn't really agree with the defectors sending leaflets over the border, because the Unification Ministry called for a halt to such leaflet campaigns over the border, because sending such leaflets is going to hurt the relations between North Korea and South Korea. And besides this, there's also a small group of activists who gathered together and held a rally in the inter-Korean border area to urge the government to take actions in order to stop the defectors sending propaganda leaflets over the border.
Because there are a lot of people, especially those living along the border areas, who are not happy with this kind of practice, because many of the balloons that these defectors sent up the air didn't make it across the border and instead fell down on on the houses of people in these villages along the border.
And some of them fell at one of the mountains as well. So I'm pretty sure that the activists were not happy with the movements. It's not only with the leaflet thingy, but it's also about the peaceful matters between the borders.
Yeah. And what's really coming up in South Korea? Are they going to do anything in retaliation?
Not for South Korea, but North Korea did say that the angry citizens prepared around 12 million leaflets to send back to the South as a revenge to the leaflets that are from the defectors over the borders to North Korea. But what we can see now is that we haven't really seen the leaflets yet, but we can see that they've reinstalled the loudspeakers on the border near the DMZ to blare propaganda messages. So the loudspeakers were taken down earlier before, since the two leaders from North Korea and South Korea signed an agreement back in 2018 to seize all hostile acts, which includes the propaganda leaflets.
We were there at the border watching some of these loudspeakers. They were not music that they were blaring out.
No.
They were propaganda, very harsh words against the North Korean regime. So that's why the North Korean authorities have not been very happy with this kind of thing.
And basically, the loudspeakers are to blare such propaganda messages. And the word blare here in many media outlets, it seems like it's kind of annoying for certain people too.
But designed to be annoying.
And what about South Korea itself? It still haven't been over with coronavirus. Are they facing second wave?
Yes, they are facing a second wave already, and it has been confirmed that the second wave is already there in South Korea, particularly in the Seoul metropolitan area. So as of today, South Korea has 46 new cases of the virus, with 6 cases recorded in the capital city, which is Seoul, bringing a total of 12,484 cases nationwide. The mayor of Seoul also said that there is a possibility that they will have to return to strict social distancing as well as lockdowns.
So many challenges are facing that South Korea has to cope with.
Definitely.
Okay, thank you very much, Kunat.
Thank you.
So that's updated story from South Korea and North Korea. Tension has been continuing between both Koreas. And regarding the reopening of business in Australia, in Barcelona, in Spain, Opera House has been reopened again, and this time they play concert, especially for plants. Take a look at this story.
Spain, one of the top countries that has been hit by coronavirus outbreak. After a 3-month-long closure, the Opera House in Barcelona, El Liceu, reopens with its first concert for 2,292 plants. The initiative, an idea of Spanish artist Eugenio Ampudia, looks to examine our relationship with nature and the impact the lockdown has had on public places.
Entonces, cuando pensé en el liceu, de repente pensé, ¿por qué no entramos con...
Eugenio Ampudia, an artist, says, "In the afternoon we are going to broadcast the play in streaming, so that people can put it in their homes for their plants to hear." And he also said that, "I believe that it has also been demonstrated that we are at the end of the whole era, and this means that certain paradigms must be changed. We do not live in the same world that confined us 90 days ago. And this significant fact has to be reflected in each of things we do."
And refrain from taking pictures during the show. Please also avoid any other noise that can spoil other people's enjoyment. Thank you very much.
Keep plants happy. On June 26th, it would be the first time that ASEAN Summit will be arranged virtually this year. It's very particular and very special during COVID-19 that ASEAN leaders still arrange to meet even though virtually. And what's the plan of business group to raise concern or raise the point about ASEAN Summit? Right now we have Kun Arinjira, Chairman of ASEAN Business Advisory Council Thailand, ASEAN Back Thailand. Good evening. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. Yeah.
So what your plan? What do you like to raise during the virtual meeting?
Well, you know, next week we have this meeting, the virtual meeting for the first time with the leaders. As many of you know, this year Vietnam is the chair, so it's it's going to be a lot of discussion will come from Vietnam. Every one of us will be sitting in our own country, and so I will participate in this meeting also. But luckily, I don't have to. I don't have to talk much.
Yeah, so you'll be joining from Thailand.
Right.
Via virtual online.
Right.
This is the first time, right, that ASEAN Summit is held virtually.
Yeah, in fact, with the leaders, the first time.
Yeah.
We've done virtual meeting with the economic ministers and a few other groups.
Is it okay? I mean, doing things virtually, can it substitute?
It's better than nothing.
in-person
It's
meetings?
better than nothing, but I don't like the setup because it's you don't see the person that you're talking to, and it's
Interaction is not always there.
It's a bit more difficult, I think. Sometimes you want to say a few more things, but since you're so far away, forget it. So but it's okay. It's you can get your points across, and I think it's better than nothing, I guess.
Yeah, better than nothing. So what's particular point that you would like to pay attention to from business community this time?
Well, what's going to happen is this. I think the ASEAN Business Advisory Council members are saying that this is the time where we need to advise the leaders to come up with something, maybe a special, we call it special council to work on the COVID-19, post-pandemic COVID-19. There are a lot of things that I think the ASEAN Business Advisory Councils have recommended to the leaders, but many items haven't been implemented to the liking of our council. But this time is different because it's COVID-19. I think what we need to be doing is to make sure that we can handle post-COVID-19. Otherwise, this is going to be a tough, period for us to work with, the economy.
So what is your biggest concern among the business community people?
I guess the biggest concern is for the SMEs, or let me include micro, which is MSME.
Okay.
They find it difficult.
Same problem in every ASEAN country.
It's the same, because in every ASEAN country you have MSME or SME enterprises as the backbone. And these people, if they cannot function, this is going to be tough for the economy. So the first thing we want to do is make sure that we take care, put the safety nets for MSMEs. And this is something that it's going to be included in our recommendation. But first thing that we want the leaders and the government of ASEAN to do is to ensure that we can have mass testing. Mass testing is important, and that's something that we need to be cooperating with not only the government but the private sector. We need to, I guess, promote ASEAN standards of production of masks, PPEs, medical equipment, testing facilities, and make sure that we can get the vaccine. I think right now we have about, I understand that we have about 150 prototype vaccines.
Yeah, as a candidate.
Many people are claiming that we're almost there.
Okay.
But I think it is now. I think it is time, hopefully, to decide how and what we're going to do. We need to help each other. We need to be working together to ensure regional reach for COVID-19 when it becomes available.
So far, and how has COVID-19 has become like the new direction or new shaper for new normal among ASEAN community?
You talk about new normal, and everybody's seen wearing masks, social distancing, wash your hands, work at home. I think working at home is going to be more popular in the future. I think many big companies are saying, we can
Because it has
Probably-
been proven. It's been proven that it works.
Yeah, we can probably cut down maybe about 50%. We can work at home, and the business still can be run, remotely. We're going to save a lot of operational expenses.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, if we don't work together to get the vaccine, what's going to happen? We're going to have some altercation. We're going to be quarreling with each other.
That's right.
And see who's going to get the vaccine first. This is something I think
You
is...
mean you're saying that there should be a joint ASEAN efforts on
Right.
this vaccine?
Whether, joint ASEAN effort or even in our own country in Thailand. I think we need to make sure that, we need to make sure that we can reserve enough doses for the, Thai population or for the ASEAN population. We don't know who's going to come up with an affordable, accessible, reliable vaccine yet. Yeah. Could be Thailand.
Yeah, we are a few steps from
It could
that.
be Thailand, but could be other countries, could be China. But what's going to happen is if we can get hold of these vaccines before anybody else, or about the same time, I think it'd be good for us.
Yeah, that's best. That's best case scenario.
So we need to make sure that we could do that.
And for back to Thailand, the Prime Minister raised the issue of new normal approach, and he would like to listen to every stakeholder.
Oh, the three things he talked about the other
That's
day?
right. The promises in
Yeah, the first one he talked about he wanted to make sure that people can.
You have a public participation.
And they
in
can advise him and all
formulating,
that.
on
And number
policies.
two is to make sure that he, and the government works on the priorities for the country.
That's right.
Yeah.
And then the third one would be something that he would be going.
He wants
he'd
a
be-
public participation
He'd be more
in
proactive.
evaluating, proactive,
Right,
and
right. And
inviting public participation in
Right.
assessing government's performance. Right?
Yeah.
Are you ready to do that in the business
I
sector?
think that's a good idea. But whether or not he could do it, that's different. That's a different matter altogether.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
just have to, find out. But let me commend his activities on the COVID-19. I think
Yeah.
he's done an impressive job. I think we owe it to the
Public
the
health, public health sector.
the healthcare workers,
Yeah.
the healthcare professionals. They've done a marvelous job. And I think as we keep saying, do not lower our guard. And this is something very important. You've seen many examples from China, from Australia, New Zealand just a few days ago, South Korea. This is something that is important. If we're not careful, if we're complacent, we are going to fall victim to our own success. And this is something that I think we have to be mindful of.
So it means business community are very much aware and perhaps support the government not to opening up too much too soon.
I would say, in fact, I agree with that. I think we should not open too soon. Some people, when your business has been shut for 3-4 months, you're eager to go out and do some business. But I think we need to be careful. If you open too soon, if you get the second wave,
Back to square one.
back to square one, start all over again.
Yeah.
So this is something that I think we have to be careful. But I'm very, very happy that all the healthcare professionals, the doctors, these people are helping the Prime Minister, and the Prime Minister is taking their recommendations, seriously.
Yeah.
That's something very good. If he takes the recommendation of the simply take the recommendation from the politicians, that's not going to be so good.
All right. So we have been patting ourselves in the back for the good things that we believe we have done. But how about our friends in ASEAN? Do they see things that way too, that we are doing a good job?
Yeah, I think everybody has been praising Thailand, and I think we got to live up to it. I think every country is trying to do the best they could do, but some fortunate incidents that could create some more cases that you're not aware of. That's something that no control. But I think Thailand and a few other ASEAN countries have been doing very well in managing, controlling, and containing COVID-19. You look at Vietnam; they're also doing
not too
a
bad.
good job. Yeah. Right.
And how do you see the importance of ASEAN community at this very juncture? COVID-19, does it even help emphasize the importance of ASEAN community for the whole region?
Yeah, I think we have to be working together. This is the time that we really need to stick together. Because we say that if you don't stick together, you need to be hanging in together, or you'll be separately hanged.
Yeah, but the situation is quite different between Singapore, Indonesia, Malaysia, and then you have Malaysia, you have Myanmar, Cambodia, the other group.
Well, you're talking about a gap in the
Yeah.
economy, but I think if you are committed to coming together as one nation, one identity, one community, you got to do what you have promised. The population. We have 650 million people, or maybe more. I think we need to tell the world that ASEAN is ready to open up in a multilateral environment. I think this is something that we have to be mindful of. Why? Because today with protectionist policies, the trade war, it's even more important for us to look at regionalization of the world economy.
Yes.
And this region is a region that I think we can do something. I think a lot of people would like to come into ASEAN, to invest in ASEAN.
I think the main subject to be discussed at the ASEAN virtual summit will be, of course, the ASEAN response to the COVID-19 pandemic, right? So what kind of message you think should come out of this summit that would be sort of portray ASEAN in the light that this grouping is certainly in charge of things, of situation? Yeah?
For us, for the ASEAN Business Advisory Council, we have a few items that we want to recommend to them to do immediately.
Yeah.
And I mentioned before the mass testing.
Yep.
We want also to, for the governments of ASEAN to remove and minimize NTBs, NTM, non-tariff barriers, non-tariff measures. I think it's time for to call for a moratorium for NTBs, NTM. Since we haven't been able to reduce NTBs, NTM. And every time we look back, we see some more and more because of protectionist policies that's becoming clearer and clearer. We also want
You want to see a commitment to remove all those non-tariff barriers, right?
But I think the commitment is there, but the implementation hasn't been good enough to remove these NTMs and NTBs.
We need another commitment to implement.
We need a more serious effort, to get this thing done. Then we want customs automation, customs streamlining. We want the government to conclude our CEP. Whether or not India is going to be in, but let India have the opportunity to come in until the end of the year. That's what we're going to be recommending. Again, regionalization of world economy is important, and we need to get RCEP going.
Yeah.
We have a good one in place already, and that's ASEAN. Then we have to look at unhampered flow of essential goods and services. We want the borders to be open so we can trade, sell products and services. This is something that is quite important also, because if you do not allow essential goods to flow freely, like medical goods, essential goods that are needed in this trying times, it's going to create some problem. We always talk about connectivity. Yes, this is the time where we need to make sure that we can connect freely. Even though we have COVID-19 around, we don't know how long COVID-19 is going to be around. A lot of people say, okay, maybe until next year, but I think until we get a good, reliable, accessible, affordable vaccine, then we can be a bit, more calm.
So these are your recommendations, but
Right.
what kind of expectation do you have?
Well, I think simply they will agree, in many of the recommendations that I think we're going to be making next week. I think I think it's this Friday on the 26th.
This week. Yeah.
But we only have about half an hour with the leaders in the evening. They meet all day on many issues, and I think a lot of issues will be focused in this COVID-19.
That's right.
So I'm sure that they'll be supportive, but the implementation, I think this time we're hopeful that it's going to be much faster than what they've been able to do in the past.
Because of new circumstances that we are facing.
Right.
So in fact, COVID-19 has disrupted regionalism like ASEAN or even strengthened ASEAN. What's your take?
We have to make it that way. We have to make it, instead of creating some problems with us, we have to take the opportunity to create something that's going to be beneficial to us, ASEAN. Mm-hmm. I think we have to look at ASEAN as a whole. Let's not take a look at only one country. Now that we want to be together, this is something that many people are saying. If you want to stay together, you have to act what you say. You do what you preach.
Mm-hmm. And for new generation who have lost their job, cannot find their jobs, the newly graduate from university, what's your advice for them to take advantage from ASEAN as much as they can?
This is a tough situation because you're talking about job losses around
millions.
Millions.
Yeah.
Thailand alone, I think it's going to be. I heard it's 7 to about 10 million jobs. Mm-hmm. But I think we need to be careful here because jobs could be available. You have to look at something new that you can do. You look at, for example, if you look at opportunities in online businesses, it's grown a lot. You look at the e-commerce, that's a thing to do. Healthcare services, related equipment, digital healthcare, and then we're going to have cleaner environment. Cleaner environment.
Yeah.
Now, these opportunities, you have to look at new normal and you do something different.
Yes.
You think, that's why we need what? R&D, we need innovation. And most importantly, I think we need to be looking at digital literacy of your population. Mm-hmm. You look at very simple, if you need to register in a smartphone, people who have no competency in using the smartphone will not be able to get into the registration process.
Right.
So this is something that's important, and I think we need to have good digital infrastructure to make sure that people can communicate through these high technology stuff.
The recommendations of the ASEAN leaders aside, is the COVID-19 in any way a wake-up call for yourself as a businessman and your colleagues in ASEAN rethink in things you're doing, the way things you're doing?
It's a wake-up call for sure. I mean, it's something, I think, something that tells you, hey, you need to have supply resiliency. Yeah? And that's going to help because you need to have the ability to monitor supply events. You have to have the capability to adapt on a timely basis. You need to collaborate with your customers and collaborate with your business partners. And I think every company should have a risk management in place. That one day you're going to be meeting with some of these crises that you've never seen before. So this is something that I think people would have to have in the strategies in trying to make sure that you can sustain your business longer term.
So that means new game during new normal.
New normal.
Yes. Yes. Okay, thank you very much.
But one more topic besides the COVID-19 and ASEAN summit, this CPTPP, the comprehensive and progressive trade agreement for Pacific region. You have any thought on that? In Thailand, we still arguing the pros and cons of the pact.
I'm not very much involved, but I think there's some people like it, some sectors don't. I don't know. I don't really have the real number to say that, okay, it's good, it's bad. But I'm sure there's some positive benefits, but I'm very concerned about the medical side. Because if you're talking about humanity, you need to make sure that medicines are cheap.
That's right.
And people can get access to cheaper medicines. If you sell medicines at high cost, and it's going to be problematic when if we have to buy expensive medication.
And that's the major argument against the pact by critics of the pact.
So,
all right.
Okay. Thank you very much, Kun Arinjira, for joining us and for your thoughts on ASEAN Summit. But you have to stay with us because we will talk to you more in Thai as well. And that's all from Thai PBS World Tonight, and the view from Kun Arinjira on ASEAN Summit, Virtual Summit, which will happen virtually on 26th of June. And that's all from Thai PBS World Tonight. We'll be back at 8 o'clock for Tan Lok with Thai PBS World. So thank you for watching and bye for now.
When the world is in crisis
การแก้ไขปัญหาโควิดถือเป็นวาระแห่งชาติ
and people are looking for hope and answers, Thai PBS World is there with you with the best minds of the day. Join us on Thai PBS World Tonight, every weekdays at 7 p.m. Thai PBS World, we bring Thailand to the world.